Number 1 here says the length of a rectangle is 5 more than the width. The perimeter is 50 inches. You're supposed to find the dimensions of the rectangle. The length of the rectangle is 5 more than the width. What does more than mean?
Addition.
Right? Adding. 5 more than, you're going to have a 5, obviously. The width, there's your variable. You're supposed to be finding the dimensions of the rectangle. Do you remember with maybe Mrs. Mullen in 2.2 told you that usually what the question is asking is what your variable is? If it says how much time, then you put minutes. If it says how many more miles, you put miles. The variable here can't be the dimensions because that's the length and the width of a rectangle. A rectangle has 2 dimensions. We need to just choose one dimension, and we're going to choose W because that's how this translates in the problem. So when you define your variable, I want you to write that W equals width. And you're going to do that for this whole page because these are all rectangle problems. You're going to set them all up the same way. Right? W equals width. That's your variable. Now we're going to label this rectangle that I just drew. The length is 5 more than the width. We can't put L here because we can't have L and W in the same problem. We need one variable. So we're going to write what that translated to. We're going to write 5 plus W. And then W, all on its own, is going to be the width because W is width. The length is 5 more than the width, which we already translated. To write the equation, we need to use the fact that they told us that the perimeter is 50 inches. Do you remember what perimeter means? The outside of a shape? Yeah, perimeter is around the outside. Specifically, perimeter means adding around the outside. Rectangles have 4 sides, right? So this W, I also can label on this side. This 5 plus W, I also can label down here. Because rectangles are the same on opposite sides. So when you write the equation, I want you to write all 4 of these sides added up. I'm going to start with the first side. 5 plus W plus W, because that's the next side, plus 5 plus W, that's the next side, plus W, because that's the last side. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4 sides equals, what's the perimeter? No, I told you. The perimeter is 50 inches. So your equation, you're going to write equals 50. They gave you that number.
Okay.
Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
Okay. Once you have your equation written, you're just going to solve it like you solved all those other ones. 5 goes with 5. W goes with W, goes with W, goes with W. 5 plus 5 is 10. Remember, all these W's have a 1 in the front. This is 1W plus 1W plus 1W plus 1W, which is 4W, equals 50. And now, you can draw your line down your equal sign. You subtract 10 from both sides. 4W equals
You went to 40.
40, right. And you're going to divide by 4. W equals, drum roll, what's 40 divided by 4? Come on now. 40 divided by 4 is 10. Type it in a calculator. How are you going to label that? What unit was in the problem?
It was W.
Inches. The width is going to be 10 inches. Guess what, though? We're not done yet. The question told us to find the dimensions of the rectangle. Dimensions. We found that the width is 10 inches, but what's the length? Don't think too hard, okay? It said the length is 5 more than the width.
Oh, so it's,
If the
is it
width
10?
is 10, the length is 5 plus 10.
Oh, 15. It's 15.
Right. So the length is 15 inches. Remember, 5 plus W, we just changed into 5 plus 10 because we knew the W. Okay? I want you to try number 2. If you think that it's right, you're going to check your answer on the key on the back wall. If you're still confused, turn your cup to red and I will be there to explain it to you as soon as I can.